Property management fees explained. If you have ever looked at the property management quote and thought, what on earth am I actually paying for? You are not alone. Today we are breaking down property management fees in a way that actually makes sense, using real-world case studies so you can see exactly how these numbers play out in practice. This is one of those videos you are going to want to watch all the way through, because by the end you will know how to evaluate any property management fee structure like a pro. Before we dive in, if you find this kind of content valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. We post regularly on everything property related, and this community is growing fast, so welcome if you are new here. Now, let us get into it. Property management fees can feel like a minefield when you first encounter them. You get a quote, you see a percentage, maybe a few line items, and suddenly you are questioning whether hiring a property manager is even worth it. The truth is, fees vary enormously depending on where your property is located, what type of property it is, how many units you have, and what services are actually included. Some managers charge a flat monthly rate, others charge a percentage of rent collected, and some have a hybrid model with a base fee plus additional charges for specific services. Understanding the difference is not just useful, it is essential if you want to protect your returns. Throughout this video, I will also be mentioning my effective property management course, which goes much deeper into all of these concepts and more. You can become a member by clicking the link in the description to learn more. All right, let us start with the fundamentals before we jump into our case studies. The most common fee you will encounter is the management fee itself, which typically ranges anywhere from 6% to 12% of the monthly rent collected, depending on your market. But here is where landlords often get caught off guard. That headline percentage is rarely the whole story. On top of the management fee, you will often find a leasing fee, sometimes called a letting fee or tenant placement fee. This is a one-time charge every time a new tenant moves in, and it can range from half a month's rent all the way up to a full month's rent in some markets. Then there are maintenance markups, where property managers add a percentage on top of any contractor work done at your property. There are also inspection fees, lease renewal fees, vacancy fees, advertising fees, and in some cases, even fees for eviction processing. Each of these has the potential to significantly impact your bottom line, and understanding them before you sign a management agreement is absolutely critical. Let us now look at our first case study to see how this all comes together in a real scenario. Case study 1 involves a single-family home generating $1,500 per month in rent in a mid-sized regional city. The landlord signs with a property manager who quotes an 8% management fee. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. 8% of $1,500 is $120 per month or $1,440 per year. Seems manageable, but then the details start to emerge. The management agreement also includes a leasing fee equal to 1 month's rent every time a new tenant is placed. With an average tenancy of 2 years, that is $750 every 2 years or $375 annually when averaged out. There is also a lease renewal fee of $200 charged each time an existing tenant renews. There is a routine inspection fee of $85 charged 4 times per year, totaling $340 annually, and the property manager applies a 15% markup on all maintenance and repair work. In a given year, maintenance costs come to $3,000 in contractor invoices, meaning the markup adds an additional $450. So, let us add this all up. Management fee $1,440, leasing fee averaged $375, renewal fee $200, inspection fees $340, maintenance markup $450, total annual cost of property management $2,805. That is not 8% anymore. When calculated against the annual rent of $18,000, the true cost of management is closer to 15.6%. This case study illustrates exactly why you need to read every single line of your management agreement before signing anything. Case study 2 involves a landlord with a small apartment building containing 6 units, each renting for $1,200 per month. giving a total monthly rent roll of $7,200. The property manager here charges a lower management fee of 7%, partly because of the volume of units. 7% of $7,200 is $504 per month or $6,048 per year. The leasing fee is set at 2 weeks rent per tenancy, so for a $1,200 per month unit, that equals $600 per tenancy. With 6 units and an average tenancy of 18 months, turnover generates roughly 4 tenancies per year across the building, costing $2,400 annually in leasing fees. Inspections are charged at $75 per unit 4 times per year, which across 6 units totals $1,800 per year. There is no explicit maintenance markup in this agreement, but the property manager uses their own in-house maintenance team and charges market rates for labor, which the landlord later discovers are about 20% higher than independent trades. Annual maintenance bills across the building run to $8,000, meaning the premium paid to in-house maintenance is approximately $1,600. Total annual costs: management fee $6,048, leasing fees $2,400, inspection fees $1,800, in-house maintenance premium $1,600, coming to a grand total of $11,848 against an annual rent roll of $86,400. That represents an effective management cost of 13.7%, still higher than the 7% headline rate. But the key takeaway here is that volume discounts on the headline rate do not always translate into lower overall costs. The hidden costs matter just as much. Now, before we get into case studies 3 and 4, I want to remind you that if you are serious about maximizing the returns on your investment properties, the Effective Property Management course covers all of this in detailed, actionable modules. From evaluating management agreements to structuring your investment strategy for long-term wealth building, it is designed for landlords who want to take control of their portfolio. Click the link in the description to become a member and learn more. Now let us continue. Case study 3 is probably the most interesting one because it involves a landlord who decides to self-manage, and we get to see what that actually costs in comparison. The property in question is a duplex, 2 units, each renting for $1,000 per month, so $2,000 total monthly income. This landlord previously used a property manager at 9% plus the usual add-on fees and was paying effectively around 13% of gross rent in total management costs. That worked out to approximately $3,120 per year. Frustrated with the fees and feeling like the communication was poor, the decision is made to self-manage. In the first year, things go relatively smoothly. One tenant renews and the other unit needs to be re-tenanted. The landlord spends time learning tenant screening processes, writes the listings, handles the viewings, processes applications, and ultimately places a new tenant. The time investment for just that one leasing process is estimated at around 40 hours. At a conservative valuation of $50 per hour for the landlord's time, that is $2,000 in time cost for one tenancy placement. Throughout the year, maintenance calls, routine inspections, rent chasing, and administration add another estimated 60 hours of time across the year. That is a further $3,000 in time cost. Add to that advertising costs for the vacant unit, which come to $250, and a small legal consultation fee of $300, sought when a lease issue arose, and the total self-management cost for the year, when time is factored in, reaches $5,550. Compare that to the $3,120 they would have paid a property manager. Self-management actually cost this landlord more once time was honestly accounted for. The lesson here is not that self-management is always bad. For some landlords it works brilliantly, but you must account for the true cost of your time, not just the out-of-pocket expenses. Now let us zoom out and talk about what these 4 case studies have in common and what they teach us about approaching property management fees strategically. First, the headline rate is almost never the true rate. In every single one of our case studies, the advertised percentage was a significant understatement of the actual cost. This does not mean property managers are being deceptive necessarily, but it does mean you have to do the maths yourself before committing. Second, volume does not automatically mean better value. Case study 2 showed us that having more units with a manager does not guarantee a better overall outcome. The specific fee structures matter more than the number of units you bring to the table. Third, self-management has hidden costs that most people dramatically underestimate. Time is money, and the administrative, emotional, and practical demands of managing tenants directly can add up to more than you expect, particularly if you are not experienced in property management. Fourth, good management has genuine value. The landlord in case study 4 paid a competitive rate, but they got consistent service, transparent costs, and they reclaimed their time. That is worth something real. So what should you actually look for when evaluating a property management agreement? Start with the management fee itself and understand whether it is charged on rent collected or rent due. These are very different things. If your property is vacant or your tenant is in arrears, a manager charging on rent collected is only paid when rent actually comes in, which aligns incentives. A manager charging on rent due gets paid regardless. Next, scrutinize the leasing fee carefully. Ask how it is calculated, whether it applies to renewals as well as new tenancies, and whether there is any guarantee period where they release for free if a tenant leaves quickly. The lease renewal fee is often overlooked, but it adds up over time, especially in markets where tenants tend to stay for multiple years and trigger renewal after renewal. For maintenance, ask specifically whether the manager uses in-house trades or external contractors, and whether any markup is applied either way. Request to see their standard trades rates for common jobs like plumbing, electrical, and general handyman work. This gives you a baseline for comparison. Inspection fees should be reasonable and predictable. Confirm how many inspections are included, what is charged for additional inspections, and whether you receive a detailed report with photos after each one. Always ask about exit fees, sometimes called management transfer fees. If you decide to change managers or sell the property, some agreements include a significant fee to exit. Knowing this upfront prevents an expensive surprise later. One of the most powerful things you can do as a landlord is to create your own total cost projection before signing any management agreement. Take the full fee schedule from each prospective manager and apply it to your actual property numbers. Assume a realistic tenancy turnover rate for your market, a reasonable annual maintenance budget based on the age and condition of your property, and the actual number of inspections you expect. When you run this exercise across 3 or 4 agencies simultaneously, the differences become very clear very quickly. The agency with the lowest headline rate is rarely the cheapest option once you model it out fully. This is exactly the kind of practical skill that separates landlords who build real wealth from those who constantly feel like their returns are being eroded. If you want to go deeper on strategies like this, the Effective Property Management course is where you need to be. The link is in the description, and becoming a member gives you access to comprehensive modules on everything from tenant selection and lease management to fee negotiation and portfolio growth. Click the link and learn more. Another dimension worth considering is the relationship between fee structure and service quality. A property manager who charges very low fees may be operating a high volume, low touch model where your property is just one of hundreds in a portfolio. In that environment, calls get missed, maintenance gets delayed, and tenant issues fester into expensive problems. Sometimes paying slightly more for a manager who genuinely limits the size of their portfolio and provides attentive, responsive service is the smartest financial decision you can make. A well-maintained property commands better rents, attracts higher quality tenants, and experiences less vacancy. A poorly managed property does the opposite. The cost of bad management often shows up not in the fee line, but in higher vacancy rates, more frequent turnover, deferred maintenance that becomes expensive repair work, and tenants who feel ignored and leave at the first opportunity. When you consider the full financial picture, the true cost of cheap management can be enormous. Let us also talk briefly about negotiation, because many landlords do not realize that management fees are negotiable. This is especially true if you have multiple properties, if your properties are higher value, or if you are coming with a stable, well-maintained portfolio rather than a problematic one. When approaching negotiations, do not just try to push the headline rate down. Instead, Ask for specific items to be waived or capped. Can the leasing fee be reduced for an existing tenant renewal? Can the maintenance markup be removed? Can inspection fees be capped at 2 per year instead of 4? These targeted negotiations can have a bigger impact on your total annual cost than squeezing 0.5% off the management fee. Always get the final agreed fee structure in writing as part of your management agreement. Verbal agreements mean nothing when a dispute arises. Make sure every fee is listed explicitly in the contract, including any conditions under which fees may increase. Some agreements include a clause allowing the manager to increase fees with 30 or 60 days notice. Know what you are agreeing to before you sign. There is one more thing worth addressing here, and that is the question of whether you should pay more for a specialized property manager versus a generalist real estate agency that also does property management on the side. In many markets, property management divisions within large real estate sales agencies are treated as secondary businesses. The focus of the agency is on sales commissions, and property management is managed by junior staff with high portfolio loads. Specialist property management agencies, on the other hand, are built around the discipline of managing properties and tend to have more experienced staff, better systems, and a genuine focus on service delivery. This does not mean all specialist agencies are better or that all generalist agencies are worse, but it is a factor worth weighing when you are evaluating your options, especially if your properties are high value or if you have had problems with management quality in the past. The property investment journey is long and there are many layers to get right. Property management is one of those foundational layers that, when done well, creates the stability and passive income that makes the whole strategy work. When done poorly, it becomes a constant source of stress, expense, and regret. You deserve to have the knowledge to make great decisions, and that is exactly what this channel is here for. The Effective Property Management course takes everything we have covered today and builds on it with structured, in-depth learning that you can apply directly to your own portfolio. Click the link in the description to find out more and become a member today. Every step you take to deepen your knowledge is a step toward better outcomes for your investments. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. It genuinely means a lot. Go out there, ask the right questions, read your management agreements carefully, and build the portfolio you deserve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.